Today, we get to hear about how two friends help blend food, fellowship, and the love of literature together. Starting up with Lauren, she is the founder of Cooking as a First Language. And then Miss Lori, she is the manager of Reed's GumTree Bookstore. So, hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I love this idea, and I don't know how it got started first. So, either Lauren or Lori, who first thought this idea of blending all these three things together?
That would be Lori. Hey. I took over at the bookstore about 3 years ago and was just trying to think of some more ways we could connect with the community and just do fun things around books. And I want to say I ran across, somebody on Instagram or TikTok who was a chef that was making a meal from a book. And so I knew about Lauren and I knew about Cooking as a First Language and what she was doing to bring people together over food. And so I thought, that could be a really fun idea to find a book and to make a meal and an event around it. And so, Lauren and I just started talking about how we could make that happen.
Lauren, refresh our memory of what Cooking as a First Language is and how you are bringing community together in Tupelo over food.
Yes, so it's just a nonprofit organization that I founded in 2018, and the whole purpose of it is to break down cultural barriers and then just create community over food and cooking. And the way that we do that is we have cooking classes every month that are taught by Tupelo community members who are from other countries or other cultures, and it just provides an opportunity for them to share their culture.
And who wouldn't want to do that over great food? I'll have to admit, Lori, I, not the biggest avid reader, but the books that I have read and enjoyed, I've never stopped to think about like, oh, wow, I would want to make a meal out of that story, or sort of think back to even like your favorite movies or whatever it may be, fictional scenes, and say, oh, I would love to have been there during, that particular time. How did that even open up to you, Lori? Like, was there a book or a recipe or something that sort of had lingered for you? Or I know you mentioned, I guess you saw it on social media, but how did that sort of connect with you personally?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously a big reader and love to live in that world of books. And sometimes, though, like you said, some people are, like they're interested in books, but maybe, just because of different times in life and ability to have time to read as much as we would like to or not, sometimes you need to be encouraged, and sometimes you need a book club to kind of get you to read something. And so, when we first started talking about this idea, we settled on Italian as a first one, which, who doesn't love Italian food? We had some really great chefs lined up, and we picked a great book called The House at the Edge of the Night by Catherine Banner, and it's kind of just a saga of an Italian family throughout lots of generations. And so Lauren actually reached out to Catherine because, part of it is it's really special to be able to talk with an author and hear their thoughts and how their stories originated. And so we reached out to Catherine over Instagram, and she was so gracious, and she was like, yeah, I'll Zoom with you. I live in Italy, actually.
France.
Yeah, she was living in France at the time, but she was like, yeah, I'll totally Zoom with you. And so that was just really special and brought another element to the whole, thing. And so that's something we try to do. Most of our, except for just a couple of times, we have been able to actually speak with the author, rather either in person or over Zoom. And, it just helps, like you said, going back to your original question, just to really connect with what you're reading.
And see it in a different way and sort of bring it to like be a neat way to sort of put yourself in the story. Not really, but kind of like you can sort of better,
absolutely.
you
connect with the characters and the food and the culture and be able to picture it and kind of just use that multisensory, you're tasting it, you're feeling it, you're smelling it, all of those things.
Because sometimes in books, just when I read a description of the food they are having, I can just almost taste it, and my mouth just waters reading it. So it's really just fun to be able to experience, the actual food from the book.
So if you build it, they will come is usually the saying when you try something new. I know, Lauren, you probably felt that way when you first branched out with Cooking as a First Language. Were y'all pleasantly surprised by the number of folks who went all in on this? Because I think you've kind of gotten up to, quite a big crowd that looks forward to this every quarter.
Yeah, definitely. We, the first one, we, of course, talked up amongst our friends and posted on social media and got people interested and pretty quickly filled up. And then we've discovered that after that, I mean, they were selling out within 24 hours most of the time. And a lot of the times people who, we have a lot of repeat people who love to come. And so it's been really, it's fun, like I said, to realize that, yeah, this is something that people want. Like, we like a book club. A lot of people like a book club, but it's hard to commit to that maybe every month. But when you do it 3 or 4 times a year, and you can make it more of an event, I think that's appealing as well.
So this is happening, and I love the name of it. It's Page and Table Supper Club, like page to table. Like, that's just super cute. I don't know whose idea it was, but very clever. Is this taking place at Reed's GumTree Bookstore there in Tupelo?
Yes, so it's always in the bookstore, and I love the way that we use the space there. We will just kind of move the bookshelves out of the way and set up tables and chairs, and we'll have it kind of dim in there, usually with candlelight, and it's just such a neat atmosphere for that event.
How do you find your chef for this? Or is there one chef who's like also every quarter is getting this random recipe they have to do? Or are you finding chefs that are already sort of culinary, complement with the book?
Yeah, so we were kind of looking back at all of our past events, and there was this one really great chef. Sadly, he moved away, but we looked back and realized that he did so many of them because he can cook anything. Sadly, we don't have him in our community anymore, so we can't use him anymore. But usually we can kind of just find somebody who's either from the country, and it's usually somebody who's probably done a cooking class for me already. This past one, our very last one that we did was set in the Caribbean, and there's just this fabulous Caribbean chef here in Tupelo, and she's done multiple cooking as a first language classes, and it was just such a rich experience to have her come in and do the food and talk about the cuisine of her culture, and it went right along with the book, and it was just amazing. And usually, so back to answer your original question, yes, we can usually just find a chef to complement the book that we're reading.
Mm-hmm.
If they're looking at SuperTalk TV, they see the photo of both you ladies, Lori and Miss Lauren, but then also the author, I'm assuming, of The Black Umbrella. And Lori, I think you're the one holding an umbrella open indoors. Number one, did anything bad happen after you opened your umbrella indoors? But two, what was the connection to that book? What did y'all eat in connection with the Black Umbrella?
Yeah, so The Black Umbrella is a book that is actually, it's kind of like a rom-com, if you will. So it's good for young adults and adults alike. And actually, this is Lori. I knew the author from when I lived in Nashville, and so she was super happy to come down. And so the book is set. The girl time travels back to like 16th century France. So for that one, we did some French food. We did some just really rustic, like roasted chicken, and then there was also a cake in the book that was kind of pivotal to the story, and so the chef made the cake too, So, and that was really special because, like the last one Lauren was talking about was called Black Cake. It was set in the Caribbean, and as we learned all about, black cake is actually a cake that a lot of Caribbean cultures have as their special occasion. They have it at the holidays, they have it as a wedding cake, and it's really, really central to that book in particular. And so Khalil, the chef, they made the black cake. So that was really great because the story revolves so tightly around that, and it was really special to be able to eat the cake, and taste it.
You mentioned that y'all sell out every time you do one of these Page and Table Supper Club events. How many do y'all hold? How many can y'all seat?
We've done up to 35.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So we usually sell just between 30 and 35 tickets.
Well, that's really cool. Okay, can you ladies stick around? I'd love to hear more about the bookstore and more if you got a second. All right, stick with us. We got more good for you coming up next here on Good Things. radio station. Of course, you can watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We're continuing our conversations with the two ladies who founded Page and Table Supper Club. Super cool idea. It's food, fellowship, and literature all blended together there in Tupelo. Lauren, she is the founder of Cooking as a First Language, and Lori, she manages the Reed's GumTree Bookstore there in Tupelo. And you ladies were just talking about the black cake that y'all had for your last book. We had someone text in, Darren and Jackson, and said black cake is awesome. So, I feel like I'm missing out, ladies. Like I need to know, I need to have some now. Like I went and Googled it, and I'm gonna guess, it looks like it could be like a fruit cake, but not like with the ingredients that makes a fruit cake crunchy, or not crunchy, but kind of chunky. Am I on to the right texture? Or a dense pound cake, maybe?
It is. It's similar to a fruit cake. The taste is similar, but the texture, like you said, is totally different. It definitely does not have chunks of anything in it. It's smooth and kind of fudgy. But it tastes like Christmas. Yeah. It tastes like spices.
Oh, well, you taste like Christmas. That's kind of a really good explanation for us. I think we should all branch out and try new foods. And Lauren, I know that was part of your plan when you started Cooking as a First Language. We have so many folks who live within our communities who maybe have a different, at least culinary heritage than we do. And would you say that we're missing out on a lot of really great cuisine by not being curious enough with our palate?
Yes. I would definitely say that. And that's my mission in life, is to kind of broaden that horizon for people in my community.
And I think a neat way of doing it is this book club that's got this supper club sort of meshed in sort of with it. How do you ladies pick your books each quarter? Because is it 3 times a year, or do y'all do it 4 times a year? A quarter would be 4, but how many times a year are you ladies doing this book club?
Well, we were just looking back. We range between 3 and 4. I mean, a lot of times it's going to depend on, just the timing of, local events, school calendars, all that kind of stuff. So we don't have a super set, but we try to do one in the winter. Oftentimes we'll try to do one in the spring, summer, and fall is kind of our general try. So I think this next one we're going to do, we might be announcing soon, is going to be, we're squeezing one in May for kind of a special thing. And, it kind of depends. But when we pick the book, sometimes it's just like a great book we've read that we feel like has a lot of good pairings with food. Sometimes it's, based on the culture. Yeah, sometimes it's based on the culture. Or Lauren will say, hey, I've got a great Indian chef. And then we kind of, look for something or recall something we've read that will pull up with that.
We did that with Khalil, the Caribbean chef, the last one we did. I think we did that with her because I kept telling Lori, she is so fun and she cooks such wonderful food. We've got to bring her in for one of these events. And then Lori found out about the book, Black Cake. And so this past time was based on the cuisine first.
Well, I think it's all interesting. And Lori, just the same as like I mentioned with Lauren, we're missing out when we don't expand past our curiosity with food. Would you feel that way about us in books and literature? Because either you read or you don't read, right? Like, I mean, so if you're a reader, you're probably a reader who's stuck in a certain genre. And then if you're not a reader, you're just stuck watching documentaries or TV.
Right. That's a good point. I think I think it's great. I mean, I've been in book clubs for a long time, and I've definitely been pushed to read things that maybe I wouldn't have read before, and I think that's a great way. So I would definitely always encourage people to do that whenever they can, is to join a book club. Because like one person might be interested in mysteries, another person is interested in romantic comedies, or another person is interested in Southern writers, so you can really, that kind of thing can push you to read things you might not have read before. And I think everything that we have done except for one book has been fiction. We did do last November, we did a book that's a memoir called It Was an Ugly Couch Anyway by Elizabeth Passarella, and she's actually she's Memphis, but we'll call her a North Mississippi native who lives in New York now, and so it was kind of a memoir about her, so we were able to talk with her. So, we aren't completely stuck in a certain genre. Like we like all kinds of things. In the fall, sometimes we'll try to do kind of a mystery, so it's kind of we can play up the spooky kind of aspect of things around Halloween in the fall. But yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes we just need a good recommendation. And all of these books we've obviously vetted. Like we have read them, and we think that they're a good fit for the book club. And we try to. Part of in choosing the book is that we want to reach a broad audience. So we do pick things that we think a lot of people will enjoy, even if it's not something they would typically read.
Is your book club, supper club members mostly ladies, or do you have a mixture of ladies and gentlemen who join you?
The first one, we had some gentlemen come, but from then on, it's been all ladies.
That's okay. That
Yeah.
what? Sometimes book clubs just get a little chatty, and then
Yeah.
I can totally understand. I can understand that for sure. But Lori, this is also a good reminder too about how our community bookstores are such a central part in bringing people together, or can be, or should be, and it feels like sometimes they are slowly leaving us for one reason or another. So what's keeping Reed's Gumtree Bookstore around, and how? Give us a little backstory. How long has that bookstore been in Tupelo?
Yeah, well, as you may or may not know, so Reed's department store is one of the oldest family-owned department stores, I think, in the country. It's been around over 100 years, and so the Gumtree Bookstore existed in Tupelo, kind of on it. It was kind of adjacent to the department store, but not a part of it until the 80s. And so, but the bookstore itself has been around for 40 years. We actually have our 40th anniversary this year that we'll be celebrating. And yeah, I think we're lucky in that we are owned by people who care about books and who want the bookstore to do well. And so we have the benefit, too, of kind of being part of a whole that is very supportive and active in the community. And so I think that helps us a lot, because it would be tough to do. I mean, bookstores are tough, just in general, your margins are not huge, as when you talk about retail. And so, yeah, I mean, I could see how it could be tough for a lot of smaller stores to be able to keep their doors open.
Well, we're big here at Good Things, Lori, about encouraging people to shop small and shop local. And every time we like to remind them that your local bookstore, your independent bookstores, I should say it maybe that way, they're small businesses. And so anytime you make your choice to purchase from there. And you guys also have like the cutest little knickknacks or like other educational. Usually, I have never been to Gumtree, but I'm going to assume like fun like gifts and things that's not just books related.
Yeah.
So if people have those
we definitely try to have. We are connected to a gift shop, which the Reed's gift shop is fantastic for. They do a lot of wedding gifts, and they do all kinds of just pick up great gifts. But we try on the bookstore side, in particular, to have a lot of great stuff for kids. Like we want to have a great birthday pickup, and we want to have good things that pair together with books. And so we'll have little games and puzzles and other things like that. So we want to have a fun kids area too that can draw them in. And yeah, I mean, thank you for pointing that out about small businesses, because we talk about that a lot, but it really is important for communities. And I get it. Amazon is really easy, to order from, and sometimes you just need to do it. But one of the great things is being able to come into a store. We can talk to you. We can give you recommendations. We can tell you things that we think you will love, and things that you won't necessarily find other places. So, and, with a place like Reed's, I mean, Reed's donates the money to run the local Christmas parade. So, that's stuff we're, actively investing in our community in ways that, larger online retailers just can't.
And it's the only place you can find the page and table book/supper club. And I think I'm going to say you ladies are the only ones I know doing it, at least here in the state. If people want to get on that list of like when to watch for it, or at least your book recommendations, because not everybody can make it to Tupelo for your supper club, how do we get in touch with you guys, or how do we stay connected?
So they can follow either of us on social media. So that would just be Cooking as a First Language on Facebook and Instagram, and then Reeves GumTree Bookstore on Facebook and Instagram. We also have email lists.
Yeah, messages.
Yes.
Yeah, direct messages.
So they could, if they wanted to be on our email list, they could direct message us on the social media sites to give us their email address.
All righty.
Because any time we schedule a new one, we send out that email.
All righty, good to know.
On social media.
All right. Well, you ladies have spiked our interest, at least for Black Cake and reading today and food and fellowship. So I appreciate your time and what you guys are doing there in Tupelo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you up next.